Hey there, how you doing? Charlie Winters here with horse racing and football selections for Saturday, the 10th of May. Well, I've had a good look, and there's some very interesting races. It's a decent day's racing. It's a shame there weren't bigger fields at Lingfield for these like Oaks trials or whatever it was, but so we've gone for the handicaps and the extra place races. So you will benefit the most if you're using Sky Bet and leaving the prices. So there's some interesting horses running today. Well, there's plenty of them, but here's a few that I've chose. I've looked for a few outsiders. Well, but obviously I've not just looked for outsiders. I've got to actually fancy them as well, and that's definitely what I do. At the last 16 horses, I think I've had two placed. So take that as what you want. Am I do a good run, or have I just lost it completely? So let me get into it. So I've actually staked £40 and 50p on the horses, and I shall be having a tenner on the football. I shall tell you the football now. It's the Fulham match and the Ipswich match. £7 over 2.5 goal double, and a £3 over 3.5 goal double. Simple as that. Yeah, it's the Fulham versus Everton and Ipswich versus somebody else. Ipswich doesn't matter, does it? You'll see when you put the bet on, or if you tell you what, I can tell you now. Brentford. There you go. So let's get into the horse racing bet. So I've had £1 each way single on every single selection, and then because I've already had a single, I haven't bothered having a lucky 63. I've had each way Hines, which gets rid of the singles, but it allows me to up the stakes on the doubles and upwards. So the first selection is Escapologist. I've left the price. It's currently the outside of the lot in the race. It's in the 1 o'clock at Adok, 4 places instead of 3. I've looked at the form of this horse, and I think it's a lot better than it is, or it's better than it is. So it's been stepped up in trip. It's been running fine, but I think it can run better because it's upped in trip, but also it's been running over tracks where I don't think the tracks are going to suit it. It ran at Fakenham. In fact, I've only got 6 selections. I'm gonna show you what drew me towards it. Just give me a second because I'm gonna flick to the race. So I do think it will like this more galloping track. This is the race. It's the 1 o'clock at Haydock. It's 3 mile now. So I'm gonna scroll down. As I said, it was currently 18 to 1 on Sky Bet. It's 25's best odds. So there are certain things that you won't be able to see just because of the recording equipment. So for me, that It's Gino with a 12 furlong tells me it wants absolutely miles. As somebody said the other day, it probably wants a flat Grand National. Well, not quite that, but it definitely doesn't want 2 mile. It wants further. So the fact that it's shown form over 2 mile shows it's got ability. So I'm going to scroll down. So originally it was trained by Joe Pontin, and it was running on the National Hunt Flat. It did okay, to be fair. It did an original 63 rating, Racing Post rating on good to soft. Improved quite massively at 125 to 1. Ran to a rating of 98. Came fourth of 12. That's encouraging. Shows it's got a bit of ability. Then came third at Taunton to show that it wasn't a fluke. Matched the rating of 98. Then left the stable of Joe Pontin. Right, just give me 1 second. Yeah, and it also changed ownership as well. I am a big fan of James Owen. Very dangerous trainer. Didn't he have the winner of Chester Cup yesterday in East India Dock, something like that? I didn't really see much racing yesterday. So what did they do? So they started. So straight away they upped it in trip because they knew it needed further. So, but it was at Fakenham, which is a horrible track, to be fair. So you can't see this, but it raced prominently, pushed along, challenged two out, kept on well, just did enough. That was on its debut, so entitled to like improve. So then it ran with a penalty, but it's still got the Chadwick £5 claim coming off it. Ran to a rating of 117. Well, it's actually off 117 today. So so it came second that day, actually beaten by the horse that it beat last time. So next time it ran at Southwell, comfortably beaten. Prominent, lost ground after 8. outpaced, stayed on. Well, I like the look of that because it tells me it definitely wants further. Southall is a speed favouring track, so basically it got outpaced. Today's course is Haydock, which is a galloping track. So I think it will. Haydock's course will pay to this horse's. Let's bear in mind this is the outside lot. I'm not saying it's going to win by 10 lengths. I'm just saying it should improve and hopefully grab a place at a big price. The next run was at Plumpton. So Plumpton's described as a left-handed, sharp, undulating track, and it was held up in rear. In my opinion, this would not have suited this horse one bit. Basically, maybe like an undulating dog track. It was held up towards the rear for some reason. What going to use its turn of foot? Well, I'm kind of telling you, it hasn't got a turn of foot because it wants further. So this is 119 and still ran a decent race. It came fourth, but well beaten by Mostly Sunny, which I do like the look of. But and Mostly Sunny is also being upped in trip. But Mostly Sunny, which is also in this race, in this 1 o'clock at Adoc, I they're giving the excuses about the ground. So I'd say it's currently getting quicker with the decent weather. Mostly Sunny was described as wanting good to soft. Well, this is currently good and getting quicker. So it's been dropped £2. Escapologist has since the Plumpton race. Still inexperienced over hurdles, and it's a big step up in class. However, the last race it ran in was for 24 grand, so you don't get bad horses running 24 grand races. I do believe it will massively improve for the step up in trip. I did look at the dam sire, and that was also packed full of stamina. So the fact that it's done okay over shorter distance and now being stepped up tells me that we're right to believe that it will improve for the step up in trip. As you can see, Sam Twiston actually stays loyal to the trainer. So it's a competitive race. I'm pretty sure that he could have got a ride on pretty much most of the other horses, but I'd also think that Sam Twiston Davis would have said, right, get this up in trip, and I think it'll improve. So I think it's got a chance based on that. The second selection is Moorcar. Left the price. It's about 7-1 currently. It's in the 150 at Lingfield. This Moorcar ran in this race last year. It ran a very good race. I think it came third, beaten by something like a half a length. Obviously, it's running this race again this year. However, last year it was coming off a wind operation. It was first run after a wind operation and being gelded. So it had been chopped up and put back together, basically. And it ran a decent race. First run of the season as well. Well, it's actually already had two runs. Obviously, it's got over the gelding and the wind operations because it was like a year ago now. I think it comes into this race in a much better place. Fitness wise, obviously, it's had a couple of runs already. It ran in this race last year, which tells you do they like targeting this race? Do they like having runners at this track or whatever you want to call it? I just think it comes into this race with a better chance. Doesn't mean it'll win, doesn't mean it'll place, but I just think it's heading in this. It's coming into this race in better form. The third selection is Metal Merchant. Left the price. I think it's about 12s in the 240 Ascot in the Victoria Cup. This was paying 6 places instead of 4. This is a wide open race. I can fancy easily a number of horses. I could have fancied Hickory, but the fact that it hasn't ran. So if Hickory had ran once this season and only ran okay, I'm saying halfway through through a field, that would have been my nap. But I cannot back Hickory first time out for Jamie Osborne because I don't know much about it. What I do like about Hickory is the fact that Safi Osborne, who rode it for James Fanshawe, obviously rides it for a dad as well. I think Hickory has definitely got a chance, but you might find they might be looking at races more towards the Royal Ascot time. But Metal Merchant, proven over a mile. This is 7 furlongs, so it's going to run right through to the line. A massive fan of Jack Shannon's stable. Mick Shannon was always like a black cloud over me. I fancied his horses, but they never seemed to run very well. Well, Jack Shannon, his horses seem to run well, especially when there's plenty of prize money knocking around. And I think you need to be drawn high, and I believe this horse is drawn, I think it's 15 of 17. Well, you want to be drawn high last year. This year, I think the grounds, just give me a second, I think the grounds classed as The ground's classed as good to firm. It was good to firm last year, so I'm going to take it as though the draw bias is, well, draw effect will still be the same. Where generally high numbers were to the four. The fourth selection is Ocean of Dreams. All these have got really interesting angles. It just doesn't mean they'll come placed or win. Ocean of Dreams in the 3:15 Ascot, 4 places instead of 3. This horse did all right for Joseph O'Brien. It then came to Archie Watson, and it ran over a mile. Didn't I believe it didn't do a great deal, but then it ran over a mile and 2 and did a little bit more. It was up with the pace at Ponty before getting outpaced and running on again, but they stepped it up again. What I find interesting is the fact that this horse, I believe it left Joseph O'Brien and went to Archie Watson on the 21st of January, but it didn't run until something like the 29th of March. I find that interesting because a lot of the time when you see these horses run for a new trainer, they're normally out like a week after or 3 days after. Well, it was 3 months, so I think they've got a plan. They ran it over a mile, ran it over a mile and 2, and they know maybe full well that it needs a mile and 4. Its breeding suggests it wants this distance, and I think Archie Watson always seems to do well at Ascot, in my opinion, and there's no reason why he shouldn't, at a decent price, run a good race. I think it's about 10s or 12s again. Right, this is a very interesting one. It's Vince Le Prince in the 3:20 Haydock, 4 places instead of 3. Well, I flicked the telly on you. No, I didn't flick the telly on yesterday. I flicked the laptop on yesterday, and there was a race at not York, at Chester, and I thought, right, I'll have a quick. I saw that Duran Fentiman was riding, so I had a quick. I think about 5 each way. It was Gibbside tanking at the back. I think certain things happen for a reason, and I think you're going to see an awful lot of Duran Fentiman in the news. He's coming back from quite a bad injury. Well, it looks like maybe they're putting him up on horses that I think is a really good jockey, Duran Fentiman, but he's always been like the second string jockey behind David Allen. But I've never really liked David Allen because he doesn't seem consistent. But I think this is another angle of a horse where it's been running well on the turf, and then it absolutely hates the all weather. It ran on the all weather last time and didn't do anything. It's back on turf now, but I think that might be slightly overlooked by punters, thinking like, "Oh, it's had a bad run last time. I'll ignore it." Well, I don't think it likes the all weather because I think it's run twice on it and never done anything. It came last on its debut, not on its debut, on its first encounter of the all weather, and didn't do a great deal last time. I think Vince Le Prince has got conditions to suit and will run a much better race. And finally, Elizabeth Bay in the 10 past 4 at Lingfield, 4 places instead of 3. It's 20 to 1, I think it is. This is probably my least fancied horse, but I can't ignore it. Jane Chapel Hyam, well, I don't know if I've said this already. It's Elizabeth Bay left the prize in the 10 past 4 at Lingfield, 4 places instead of 3. This horse, it's been running roughly to its new, well, its current handicap mark. It's only just achieved it, but I think maybe slightly different tactics or whatever they decide to do. There are a number of horses that haven't been doing a great deal. Similar to this horse, really. They've not been doing a great deal and could pop up at any time. Gene Chapel Iam always pops up when I only slightly fancy her horses and tend to overlook them, normally at big prices. I think this horse will run better today. Is it enough to win the race? I don't know. Is it enough to come placed? I like to think so. So 20 to 1, in my opinion, is too big a price to ignore. There are horses that are more obvious that will run the race in this race, but I just think 20 to 1 for a horse that could improve, get a place. I can't not include it. So those are the 6 horses for Saturday. So I'll just show you the football bet just so you know. It's Fulham versus Everton and Ipswich versus Brentford. £7 over 2.5 goals and £3 over 3.5 goals. So those are all the bets for Saturday. So if you can give me a like or a subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Not sure when the next video is. It could well be next Saturday. So I wish you the very best of luck. Charlie Winters, over and out. Cheers, mate.